his old videos.
For good reason. He hasn't been doing anything, and that's okay by me.
Yeah, he's kind of in the just right school of lazy ass YouTubers.
Okay. Well, here we go. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Smudcast number 810. Predatory romance in Harrison Ford movies. I've grew up around Harrison Ford movies. There's quite a lot of them, and the romance stuff is not predatory. Maybe he's going to pick apart one or two movies that might seem that way, but there's a host of romance films or action films or horror films he's been in where no one was being dominated or predatory or whatever. So I don't know what he's going to talk about exactly.
Harrison Ford in his movies was mainly charming, and the women loved it. And I mean the audience. So how can it be predatory if the audience, if the majority of women are all in on it?
Yeah, it's...
I think I've seen this video a couple times. The ones that he mentions are Indiana Jones and Blade Runner.
Oh my God, those aren't even... If you want to watch a good...
Indiana Jones movies they always have the female love interest, and that in some of the movies that turns out a bit unexpected in a good way.
Yeah,
there's good subversions of that.
I recall because I used to watch his movies growing up, and one of them was Witness, and there's an actual nude scene where the woman pretty much throws herself at him. He says, "No, I can't," because he's undercover in I think it's a Mormon town, and he's keeping witness protection or something like that. I can't remember the exact scenario, but he's hiding so the case can get solved and he can resurface.
It's the Amish.
It's the Amish? Thank you. Okay. Then there's Sabrina. There's Hanover Street. That's a bit older. I never remember that too much. But there's all kinds with fantastic actresses, and these scripts are good. They are romantic comedies. They are romantic dramas. This is not a thing in the 80s and 90s.
The love interest in Raiders is not Raiders. Yes, Raiders? Yes, Raiders. The one in Nepal with the girl.
That was a previous. Scott.
There was a previous relationship that broke up, so they split on bad terms, get somewhat together again, and it's all wonky. They're like there's always lightning between the two. It's great.
Admittedly, though, there is the age gap makes Indiana Jones a statutory or a rape.
Oh, what were the characters' ages?
16 and 23.
Yeah, that is questionable.
Yeah, that's okay. If that's an issue, we could see the context. I want to know his arguments. This is a Jonathan Mcintosh video, so whatever he's going to take.
How old is it?
Oh, let me check. It is 2017, so March. It is.
Oh God,
more than 7 years. So that's great.
Yesterday.
Yeah, is that pre or post Gamergate? I can't remember.
That's post.
All right. When was Jonathan Mcintosh relevant? I don't know.
During Gamergate.
Yeah.
And only then did he get any looks, and Anita Sarkeesian ripped it from him.
Oh yeah, she fired him or whatever the relationship was they had. Couldn't tell.
Gamergate was basically like mid 2000s at the very least.
I was incorrect.
2010s, mid 2010s. Sorry,
I was incorrect.
Yeah.
She was 16. He was 26.
Oh,
they're 10 years apart.
The question is, did he know?
Well,
that's the make or break of the court case.
We're not talking about the third Indiana Jones film where he gets hit on by that beautiful blonde German girl.
No, we're talking about Marion Ravenwood, the girl from Raiders, the blonde, the brunette chick.
Yeah, okay.
It's like, and it's since he was under the tutelage of her dad, and it and he just left after a year. And it's like, yeah, that's suspect. Yeah, that's really suspect. It's really weird. Why'd you write that edit that way, George?
Wasn't that Spielberg?
Well, Spielberg, I guess, but George was involved in like most of the decisions in Temple of Doom were George. George Lucas. It was kind of a hand in hand with kind of Spielberg taking the lead, but George was helping his friend out.
Well, that kind of sounds like we don't know definitely right now who was responsible for this writing decision.
True.
Nor whether Indy truly knew.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of it's just a weird thing where she remarks in the first movie, "I was a child, you knew what you were getting into." And it's like,
but that formulation is you knew what you were getting into implies that she was the initiator.
Yeah, I'll have to rewatch this scene, but I just the age.
Because that's really interesting. The problem with 16-year-olds is that they're full of hormones, and they and some of them really like seducing the older guys. That's a natural thing. That's not what we call civilized today for various reasons, but it's a natural drive, and that can lead to problems.
All right. Well, there's plenty of films with Harrison Ford in them where the romance is one of the focus of the genre, and there's really nothing bad about that. There's no age issue. It's just a matter of, will you sit down and watch a Harrison Ford film with drama? I don't know. It's up to you. But the popular ones, sure, we'll talk about that. All right, let's get going. We have a 17. Was that 18?
Who's clicking now?
I don't know. All right, 17 minutes. Let's go. Okay.
Oh, is it bugged?
Let's try again. There we go.
Harrison Ford has played some of the most iconic male heroes ever to appear on film. An entire generation of young boys learned to idealize his cinematic performance of masculinity.
Really?
These films provided an education of sorts into what it meant to be a man.
This was during the 80s, right? So, or the 70s as well, but the 80s where, you had like Schwarzenegger and Stallone and all these other big names, action film. That was like macho. That was like, oh my God.
And Steven.
So it was 70s and 90s since Raiders came out in 81.
Yeah. So when I think of Indiana Jones, I don't think of this masculine guy. I think of a guy who's quick on his feet and clever and smart. He doesn't always use brawn, but he can get into fights. So I don't see him as this super masculine guy. I see him as he's a PhD in history or geologist.
He's more of an all-rounder.
He's also very awkward in the class when this college girl has written on her eyelids "love you" and is just batting her eyelids at him, and he just doesn't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
Which is better than what is happening at many universities where professors give their female students better grades for certain actions that usually come from the girls in a majority of cases, and only in some are initiated by the professors. And
within the context of Indiana Jones, it's always done either off camera or just implied. There's nothing that says, oh, this happened for sure.
Yeah, and what I mean with an all-rounder, he's a generalist. He's not a master of any skill. For some reason, he's a master with the whip.
Yeah.
That can do
anything,
magical things. But that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just, well, he's your adventure movie protagonist, so he has an unusual amount of
Plot armor.
Agency, plot armor.
Courage?
Yeah, just anything
What
goes.
is there's another word I'm looking for that is above courage.
Oh,
Hubris.
Verwegenheit would be the German. Let me look it up.
all right. I would say that he is the hero man that does the hero things. And, and that it doesn't matter what the obstacle is, he knows what to do. And he either needs help or he needs a little push or something to get him going. Either his support team or his magical whip or some idea like, he's balancing the weight of this trap. He's figuring out the clue to the third movie, to what not to do when you have the water of Christ and all this jazz. So he's not just the guy. He's the guy.
Sorry, I just spilled my hot chocolate.
Oh dear, you better clean that up. All right.
Oh yes.
So he is hero man who saves the day and is smart enough to figure out the puzzle. That's him.
Yes, and the translations for Verwegenheit are temerity, dauntlessness, audacity, daring do.
All right.
That works.
The Dark Seraph says, thank you for the super chat, by the way. He has a lot of bravado. I wouldn't go that far. I think that's a bit.
I think bravado works.
I would say that goes in the way of bombasticness or conceit or some sort of ego, whereas he's sort of in the background half the time. Yeah, he does jump into a room, regardless. So there is a bit of that, but I don't see him as that. I see him as the guy who's going to just always jump on a Nazi and have a lot of chase scenes and fighting on truck scenes for some reason. So that would be bravado for me. So in some cases he has bravado, in some cases not so much. Anyway.
Han Solo, Indiana Jones, and Rick Deckard have a lot in common. They're lovable rogues who chart their
They're all
own
played
path
by
and
Harrison
take
Ford.
what they want. They may be assertive or cocky, but in the end, they're always framed as good guys. Growing up, I watched Harrison Ford's movies dozens of times. But going back and watching them again as an adult, I'm struck by something else they have in common.
This was after, of course, he was indoctrinated by God knows what to use the lens of social justice,
Globalism and feminism.
feminism, whatever.
I think it's called. I guess it's scientific proof that Edith Sarkeesian's coochie ruins your brain.
I wouldn't even go that far. I don't think.
But that doesn't.
He was dating her. He was dating her. So
They were dating? Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
they were like he was her video editor.
Yeah.
Or something along
Scriptwriter.
those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we still don't exactly know the full extent of that yet, though.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Oh,
so
so
I
that's
still
how
think
he
it's
got
funny.
paid.
yeah, it's
I
very,
still think it's.
I find it very odd that he would come back after all these years and rewatch them with adult eyes, and to him that's maturity, whereas we see it as just being biased towards whatever, and it doesn't matter at what point in time, whether it was the 2000s or 2010s or now. Social justice, feminism, wokeism, all these names all mean the same thing. I am biased toward current year thing, and I believe in it. Therefore, this film is bad or this film is good because of something that I like this year is in that film. That would
I
be,
must destroy current culture because it's not ready enough.
it could be flipped next year, and wokeism is like ultra conservative, right wing, whatever these guys call it, and that's what they're for. And then they'll just bash anything that comes out of California. They'll bash.
Oh yeah, but that's really how it works. Because once this ideology takes total governmental control, it flips into the opposite of what it preached all the time and becomes utterly tyrannical.
Yeah,
Like basically the bad sides we see all the time, but it then becomes that openly. That's how you get North Korea, East Germany,
I don't know if you
Communist
guys
China.
are paying attention to American politics. I don't, but the first interview
Sadly.
with Harris was last week, and she flip-flopped on fracking, the only thing they challenged her on, and she had no sensible response, and you're just like, have you forgotten why you're running? Like, what's your platform? What are you doing? There's no sensible arguments. There's no actual points. They're just
But the
there.
Democrats wasn't pro-fracking the Republican position for decades?
Right.
So she must have the opposite. It's
And now
that easy.
And now she said I would never ban fracking, but then she said that during 4 years ago. So there's all this crap, and you're not paying attention because it doesn't matter. Because all she's doing is saying, "I'm not the other side. I'm not the other guy," even though you are the current power. You're the second most powerful person in the world, and you've done nothing with it. You haven't fixed anything. You haven't solved anything. And her first interview showed that. It's very funny. From a Canadian,
there is nothing to fix because Bidenomics worked.
Oh yeah, increased gas
so how
prices.
can you not fix things?
Destroyed supply lines and supply chains. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's great. We get another 4 years of that. Thank you, America. Anyway, that was a little rant of mine. Let's keep going.
Something darker. Something I hadn't quite noticed as a kid. Or at least didn't really have the language to articulate.
That's the thing. You learned words that meant nonsense.
Yeah.
If you look the dynamic of predator and prey.
This is retarded already. This is so stupid. This is look at these scenes. They're
It's
two
gaslighting.
adults, or I guess you could argue the second scene is not, of two mature people being in this relationship of some kind and trying to figure out what to do with each other. How do we get by? How do I solve your issues? Are you okay with me? Am I okay with you? This is normal. This is not predator and prey. This is not power versus control or whatever. These are two normal people having a disagreement, which is a daily occurrence in human behavior. If you ever watch old people talk, or husband and wife, or girlfriend and boyfriend, or just friends on the street, they're usually having some kind of argument.
So Willie Scott was not a teenager. So it is two adults in the case of it's two adults in the case in all of these cases.
You can't go by the actor's age. You have to go by the character's age.
Exactly. And in two of these scenes, we have the same scenario. There's the German blonde girl I was referring to, but the one on the bottom right is a robot. It's not a real person. And they know that. They lived for 3-4 years. And with Leia, I mean, it's such a simple story with Leia. They both like each other. They both have their positions, and they butt heads a lot. And that's it. It's fine.
And if Deckard's a replicant as well, what's the bloody difference?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Well, I always liked the German one.
So Willie Scott was born in around 1910, 1915 era, and it's 1935.
Dunn, that's the actress's age.
I'm aware, but that's the age of Wilhelmina Scott.
So what does that matter here? Can you really distinguish a 21-year-old from a 25-year-old? Or a 16-year-old from an 18-year-old? Can you do that in all cases? Do you know why in the supermarket they ask ID if you buy alcohol when you are 18 to 21? And sometimes even for to 26-year-olds, and then they get flattered and, he still thinks I'm under 18. Oh, I'm so young.
Yeah, I'm just offering a slight correction that, like, age-wise, Willie Scott is an adult. It's only Marion Ravenwood that he had an underage relationship with.
Yeah, and just in the context of these scenes, we're talking about Leia being a princess, a person in control. We have a Nazi undercover German lady who's doing this as a big. Maybe she does have feelings for Dr. Jones. Maybe she's just playing it up. So, and the other one's a replicant. They're a robot. So I don't know what the context is exactly with the second film.
There's a wider problem here, because Jonathan is of the exact same ideology that currently makes apologia and outright gaslighting denial for all the atrocities of the Islamic religion, while is it Iran right now that said you can marry 9-year-olds now? I think it was Iran.
Well,
it's funny.
It's
fine when they do it.
Yeah, let's focus on the actual content here. See what he has to say about a predator and prey, and I'm assuming the character, the male character, is the predator. I'm assuming.
Obviously,
Yep.
Always. By definition.
Most critics agree is the best of the original Star Wars trilogy.
So what?
The film takes a darker tone and focuses more on its character development, fleshing out the relationship between Han Solo and Princess Leia. Now keep in mind that Han and Leia have had no romantic relationship up until this point. In fact, their interactions have been tense, to say the least.
Let go. Shh. Let go, please.
Don't get excited.
Captain, being held by you isn't quite enough to get me excited.
Sorry, sweetheart. I haven't got time for anything else.
I'd like to focus on one scene in particular, a scene that's often cited
hilarious.
as one of the most romantic in cinematic history.
Really?
Let's count the number of times that Princess Leia, directly or indirectly, indicates that she's not interested in Han.
Yes, but she's actually interested. Do you understand how human females work in a series of scenarios, even tense scenarios, where she has responsibilities that supersede other things like her personal feelings? Do you understand the concept of the rogue versus the princess, or the person of high nobility or standing versus the ruffian? And she's, what would I have anything to do with someone like you? How could I be attracted? It's like, yeah. Why would you be attracted? I wonder why. And everyone sees it. Anyway.
Hey, your worship, I'm only trying to help.
Would you please stop calling me that?
Sure, Leia.
You make it so difficult sometimes.
I do, I really do. You could be a little nicer, though. Come on, admit it, sometimes you think I'm all right.
Occasionally, maybe. When you aren't acting like a scoundrel.
Scoundrel.
Backs away. What is happening with this let me rewind this. I'm trying to figure out what the hell he's saying. Please stop. Oh, God.
Sure, Leia.
You make it so difficult sometimes.
I do, I really do. You could be a little nicer, though. Come on, admit it, sometimes you think I'm all right.
Okay, so he's asking her, hey, you know what? Do you think I'm okay?
Occasionally.
Oh, she agrees. Not in the 100% way, but she goes, yeah, okay, yeah, you're all right.
As an opening.
No.
She's not saying
Completely awful.
Yeah, she's not saying, get the hell away from me, you scumbucket. You disgust me. Do not even think, like, get out of this room. No, she's being friendly. Because he's like, hey, chill out. We're in this together, blah, blah, blah. We're fighting a war. Yeah, okay. That's it. It's a simple scene.
Maybe. When you aren't acting like a scoundrel.
Backs away. She was just doing heavy physical activity. She's hurting herself, and he's like, let me like help you out there. Let me hold your hand. Let me massage it, because he's a suave guy, and she appreciates that for whatever reason. It might be because she likes that. It's like, hey, they already have a relationship here, and we're just seeing the physical behavior between them that she's comfortable with. This is not complicated. This is very simple.
Yep.
Scoundrel. I like the sound of that.
Stop that.
Stop what?
Stop that. My hands are dirty.
My hands are dirty, too. What are you afraid of?
Afraid?
You're trembling.
I'm not trembling.
You like me because I'm a scoundrel. There aren't enough scoundrels in your life.
I happen to like nice men.
Her tone is not
This
saying the same.
Mcintosh is so either he's completely incapable or was conditioned to all read this the wrong way, and that's why he's a loner. He is the incel and doormat that feminists accuse their detractors of being. He's just been used.
Yeah.
Because Han Solo in this scene, and this is beautifully acted by both of them, Han Solo can read what Leia truly wants, because all the superficial signs are actually misgivings, boundaries to overcome. Because she is insecure, but she doesn't want to admit, but deep down she knows. But the man has to overcome that in this case. Yeah. That's the obstacle. He has to prove he actually means it.
Anyone can see this.
The problem with people like Mcintosh and other narcissists and psychopaths is that they're unable to understand and read these things, and therefore they only understand the verbal no, so it no means no. Of course, unless it's set against them because they're narcissists, so what they want counts more. So the same people who say no means no, as well, are usually the sexual predators, which is kind of strange.
There's so many physical cues that any normal person, male or female, if someone were to get that close to you, you would be like, whoa, what are you doing? Don't even get, like, look how close they are. And they were, maybe less than a foot apart before, but he kept getting closer and closer. And she's like smiling and going, no, stop. Like, it's like, look, she's into him.
It's playful. It's playful. And if she really had a problem here, she would run away.
She would kick him immediately.
She would get a rise. She would get angry.
Yeah. And then
that would be a real no.
And he would stop. He wouldn't be a weirdo like about it. He would be like, "Oh, geez, sorry, I didn't know you didn't like me. Blah, I thought you did. But no, I won't." Like, it would be that kind of scene where Han is like, "Oh, well, I thought you did like me. Now you don't. Fine." And then he'll never act that way around her again, or maybe he'll keep trying in a very much more further away sort of style. But that's fine. That's called flirting. That's normal. And being a street smart kind of guy that Han Solo is really good at reading that kind of behavior from people. Maybe he picked that up along the years. Who knows? Anyway, here's Adolf Klittler. Thank you, sir, for the $1 donation. This may sound petty, but I'm not really inclined to trust the analysis of relationships from someone who sounds like they've only ever seen a vagina when they look into the mirror. Like, holy hell, man. Hit the weights. Eat some red meat, talk to a woman. Yeah. I mean, that's fine. That's a fine suggestion in any context. It's really funny. Like, I knew we'd get into weird land very quickly, but he has 7 points, which are all pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. She really dislikes this guy. She really confirming.
She is. Yeah. If you look at it, she is smiling very slightly. It's just that I don't know if she's ever been hit on before. Like, that's my reading of this whole thing, is that she's just never been hit on.
She doesn't like him. Yeah, she's just kissing him back.
It certainly looks like rejection.
Yeah, she's completely against everything he's doing. It
looks completely like it's forced, and she doesn't want it at all. Because that looks different.
Yeah, I'm reminded of was it Judge Judy or some? I think it was Judge Judy, and we're talking about a guy being accused of like sexual assault or whatever, and he's saying, yes, we had sex. And it's like, wait a second, you had sex? Yes. And this is a very serious accusation in a Judge Judy sort of show. And the woman admits to having sexual relations with this guy, but after the fact she felt bad about it or whatever. And the judge is like, I don't care what you felt about after the fact. Like, what are you talking about? If everything was consensual, we're done. There's no problem. This is so silly. Anyway.
isolated the reverse power flux coupling.
In addition to its function in advancing the plot, this scene is sending us...
This does not advance the plot. It has nothing to do with the plot, Jonathan. It's just two people talking to each other.
It's character development. It's not plot progression. There's a difference. Get your terms right.
Yeah, it's as if these people don't know what plot is. I'm just like, oh God. C-3PO could have walked in at any point and said that, and it would have been fine. The same event.
And they would have ignored him.
It's like, John, what are you talking about? You don't even know what character is. I don't know what plot. Anyway. Holy hell, this is so much has happened in the past 4 minutes of this video.
It's bizarre nonsense.
A whole bunch of messages about masculinity, about men, and about romance with women. The scene only lasts about a minute and a half, during which time she rebuffs his advances 8 different times with both verbal and nonverbal communication.
Yeah, and then she has nonverbal communication that says, yes, good, I like this.
And yet she stays with him the whole time. If she didn't like to be touched by him, she would recoil.
She also would kick him in the balls. Because that's the character Leia is. Yeah.
This is so... like, he has no concept of interactions with women during a date or in general. Being playful. Understanding... tension, your situation in relation to someone else, like obviously their social standing. He's on their ship, so it's his ship. He's feeling in control, like all this other stuff. Like there's lots going on. That's context. You need that. You can't just look at this and say, "Well, she said these words." If you like, what was that joke by Bill Burr about if you were in a court case? And this is what she says. The woman says, "Stop, don't do that. I don't like that. Stop it." It's like, yeah, in that context, that sounds bad. And then Bill Burr does a voice like, "Stop it, stop it. You're being bad." Like that sort of playful, silly. Mm-hmm. It's like that changes the scene quite drastically if that's how the woman is responding.
There's a constant giggle in the voice.
It's like he's missing the nuance. He's missing the acting. Yeah, he's missing the content. Everything is thrown out the door. He's just listening to the dialogue like a robot.
Yeah, and that's the case with everything that the ideologues say and do. They always get rid of the nuance.
Anyway.
That's consistent.
4 minutes in. Horrible crap.
And he and disregards her each time. Some will, of course, object to this reading of the scene. They'll point out that as viewers we're supposed to infer that Leia, despite her repeated objections, secretly really wants it, and that therefore it's okay for Han to disregard her words. I have no doubt.
And the music is sort of being playful and gentle and, oh, isn't that funny? Isn't that cute? Oh, they love each other even though they're sort of against it. What? It's like, yes, we get it. It's so obvious.
Yeah. And well, the goal of the feminists was to destroy the dating game, the human court, the way humans do courtship, and that is the woman giving a nonverbal signal, not necessarily conscious. That's usually when she looks at you, throws you a smile. You have to pick the guy has to pick it up, notice it, be interested in that woman, and then approach her. So if you already got the okay, she may then reject you, which in that situation is the obstacle that you have to overcome. Show that you're serious. If you get another a more vehement no, not this no, don't, but a real no, then it's off hands. Then it's hands off. But Mcintosh doesn't understand that, and the feminists wanted to destroy that, and now men don't know how to approach women anymore, and we're now at the point where the women complain that the men don't approach them anymore, because the women don't actually want to approach the men. Because that never changed.
Yeah, that's part of... that is one thing of human nature I can't admit to. Women do not do that unless you visit Montreal.
Unless they're crazy.
Yeah, I would say women are crazy in many capacities. That would be one explanation. Yeah.
I have not known a single
crazy, but
woman
this-
that isn't
Go for it.
crazy that approaches the men.
Yeah.
Come to Canada. Visit.
It's an instant red flag. There are exceptions, but they're the 1 in a million case.
Yeah, they all live in Montreal. All right. Anyway, let's keep going.
But that is how the scene is meant to be understood. And therein lies the problem.
What?
The troubling implication.
He admits this is the way it's supposed to be interpreted, but it's wrong. Like, okay, you retard. Let's hear this one.
I think it's more. He's saying that it's morally wrong. I think that's the idea that he's going with here, but it's still stupid.
According to who?
This guy's weird brain and warped morality standards.
Okay.
This guy's at the time current love interest who tells him what to think. And by the way, in a healthy relationship, it's usually so either both partners retain their worldviews, or the woman copies the worldview of the man. When the man copies the worldview of the woman, something is wrong.
Yeah, I think we have to go on the understanding that Mcintosh was the writer, editor, videographer guy that gave Sarkeesian her voice. Maybe not her intelligence or her understanding.
Lack thereof.
Yeah, whatever you want to call her voice.
Oh, her deviousness she had all by herself.
Well, yeah, I think it's a two-part. Like anything she hires would be the same. Like no one would just work for her just because it was a job. I don't think anyone would do that. You'd have to be like aligned with her to do that. Okay.
Here, women say no, they don't really mean it. That when women say no, it's just part of some courtship game where
I just
good
explained
girls
that.
play hard to get, and that men are therefore justified in continuing to pressure them until they finally give in.
Yes, and you have to be mature enough to be able to read that and distinguish between the playful no and the serious no. That's the whole thing. And all you weirdos, you crazy ideologues, you narcissists and psychopaths, you are incapable of distinguishing between those.
Yeah,
Maybe you're incapable of learning that. The thing is that even autists can learn to distinguish between those.
This is like some juvenile. Han got her to kiss him. It's like, no, he wanted her to admit she liked him, and if that's through kissing or whatever, that's fine. He's not going to start taking her clothes off. They're in a war. They got stuff to do. He's not some idiot who's going to just start molesting her because she likes him a bit.
Yeah, this is a clear case of the mouth saying one thing and the body another.
And that's all it is. It's a simple little, you can call it a fling, you can call it an attraction. It doesn't matter because that's all it is in this context is two people like each other. One of them's not admitting to it. And then finally, once they're pressured into it, oh yeah, I do like him. I'll just go along with it. Let me get back to my job because I'm really concerned about the war, and so is Han.
We have to save the world.
Yeah, exactly. We got other things to talk about and do than our relationship.
We can do that after we save the world.
This is like a nice little flavor of romance in an otherwise action-packed adventure that is a really nice interlude to all the crazy big stuff that's going on that you would expect from a space opera. It's done so beautifully and so quickly, and it's just, it's great. Okay. Smooth.
In perhaps his second most famous movie role, Harrison Ford's character continues the same predatory behavior.
What?
Indiana Jones not only refuses to listen to women when they say no, he also uses force to get what he wants.
I'm allowing you to tag along. So
that's why he can beat Nazis, unlike you.
Okay, doll?
What do you mean, tag along? Ever since you got into my club, you haven't been able to take your eyes off me.
Oh, yeah?
At the end of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom...
Wow,
that's a great scene.
What a predator. What? I can't wait. You can't take the eyes off you. Yeah, let me fall asleep. Go away. Leave me alone. Be quiet.
A hysterical woman who claims he always looked. Did he? I don't remember the scene. I didn't pay attention to that.
Apparently looking at a girl for more than she thinks you should is predatory behavior. I don't know.
I could even imagine that if he looked at the showgirls that he might not even know which was which. Because they're all dressed the same.
I'm trying to remember the first 10 minutes. I'm like, I don't think it was a big deal.
It's a comical scene. It's a cartoonishly comical scene, contrary to the rest of the movie.
She was the headliner, though. Kind of the main singer. So
everyone's eyes are supposed to be on her.
You're attracted to me, the main character of this entire dance. I'm like, yeah. Your spotlight's on you.
Doesn't mean he's attracted to her. It's just that everybody's supposed to look at her, and she, in her delusional histrionic mind, believes that means everybody wants to have sex with me. But no, that's not what it means.
Leading Scott has clearly had enough of Indy's put her life in danger at least a dozen times over the course of the film. So when he suggests she accompany him on another adventure, Willie rebuffs him in no uncertain terms.
It's a long way to Delhi.
No thanks. No more adventures with you, Dr. Jones.
Sweetheart, after all the fun we've had together.
If you think I'm going to Delhi with you or any place else after all the trouble you've gotten me into, think again, Buster. I'm going home to Missouri where they never feed you snakes before ripping your heart out and lowering you into hot pits. This is not my idea of a swell time.
She makes it clear that she's not interested and she walks away. But Indy doesn't listen.
Excuse me, sir. I need a guide to Delhi. If you could show me the way.
And one cracked hip later.
Pulls her back to him.
That's comical.
I know.
You couldn't do that move without pain.
Willie is written to have a positive response to Indy's aggressive behavior.
Grinning.
Wow, she's smiling. How clever of Indy to do a funny little thing that she enjoys. It's as if they're flirting.
Yeah, Jonathan Mcintosh is an alien.
This is why feminism has it so hard to get into Mediterranean cultures, the hot-blooded Italian and Spanish.
Yeah, he could have thrown a ball at her and she could have went, "What are you doing?" Like, he threw it back and they're playing ball. And you like me. It's like, yeah, they're playing a game.
Yeah, because that's a crazy thing. While socialism, which is the head ideology of this crap, did get somehow into power in Mexico and Brazil, feminism did not. I'm
trying to remember the details of the suspension bridge effect, where you put two people in a scenario where their heart gets going and they're excited, and it doesn't matter what the scenario is, they're going to be attracted to each other because they're both sharing, or they think they're sharing, the same experience. And this happens all throughout all the tests, all history, and this is essentially the culmination of that. This is near the end of the film, I think. And they're going, "Oh, you're crazy! You nearly got me killed. We went on this crazy adventure. I nearly died 7 times." But they trust each other because they're comrades, if anything. And because there is that tension, because there is that attraction, they go, "Oh yeah, I do admit to that." And all it takes is that extra little push to them, for her at least, to go, "Yeah, okay, I do like you." Even if I don't want to go to wherever you're going next.
And chat says, this guy's unfamiliar with the term belligerent sexual tension. How is he supposed to be familiar with any sort of tension when his voice already sounds limp?
It's just this silly thing where the next scene she's smiling and accepting of him because he saw through her shit.
Yeah, but Mcintosh's argument is that, she was just written that way.
To be a hysterical woman. Yes, hysterical women act hysterically, even if they're attracted to you, because they're women. Their brains don't shut up. They got 20 different things going on, and it's their feelings that's connect to another feeling, connect to another idea, connect to another feeling, and they just don't know when to share it at what time. And all you have to do is tell them, "Listen, honey, sit down."
Are you describing that women have emotional ADHD?
It's one way to put it. I don't know exactly what the condition is, but
it's called woman.
It's just the women, the female condition. It's just how they are. It doesn't matter what it is. You can't bet on a woman to plan a holiday, a trip downtown, reservations, Nothing works. It's just there's too much.
I will disagree. When I was taking calls for the California State Parks, the majority of the callers were women.
If that's their job, fine, fair enough. If it's
it wasn't even their job. It was like wives planning for husband for wives planning stuff for their families.
I got to get an American Girl.
Isn't that this entire trope about women being wedding planners?
Oh yeah, is that it? Are they all American? I got to figure this out.
I think in the case
vacation planners
of any household family things, when they're good at housework, it actually works because then they know what to do to put together festivities.
Maybe it's.
But that is not planning down the next 10 years.
Yeah, maybe it's because they've been in the location before, they're familiar with it, they know how the objects in it work, as opposed to going somewhere they're alien of. They don't understand time. They don't understand space. Like distances between places, they don't understand like the alien worlds. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just ranting at this point because my experiences with ladies have all been the same. Their sense of time is just non-existent. Anyway,
her reaction reinforces.
It's so cute. And even that was the point of the scene, to make you laugh. And they're laughing and they're having a good time because even the elephant could figure out what's going on.
Also, it's honestly more interesting to poor Kate Capshaw. Like, she was deathly afraid of snakes, and there was going to be a scene where a snake was in the water with her when she fell into the puddle, and she was like, I'm not doing a snake. So Steven Spielberg made a deal with her and said, okay, you don't have to do the snake, but you do have to do the bugs. And she's like, kill me, but okay. And like, she had to do all this meditation. Like, she's admittedly extraordinarily shrill and annoying in this film.
Yeah.
But part of that is kind of on purpose, and it is kind of funny that her and Steven Spielberg got married and are still married to this day because of this movie.
Cool. I wonder what Mcintosh would say about that. An actor being forced to do things they don't want to do, being paid professionally, and then hooking up with the director.
Well, the funniest, the funny thing is, like, even though he put her through all I think it was because he was like relatively nice and was like, okay, I'll make a deal with you. You don't have to do the snake, but you do have to do the bugs.
Look, according to Mcintosh, describing women effectively as infantile and having no agency of their own, it would mean he'd see it all as child abuse.
All right.
Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm fine with that. Let's keep going.
The myth that women secretly want it, even and especially when they explicitly say no. The scene also contains another regressive message.
Look how cute this is!
About women's anger, but we'll get back to that in a moment.
Look how adorable that scene was.
It was cute.
Everyone knows they like each other. She's ranting and raving. Ah, you nearly got me killed. Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to leave you. Ba, 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 ba. Oh, no, she's not.
Oh, look, if the only woman Mcintosh ever had a thing with is some vile creature with only vicious emotions and now no positive ones, like Anita Sarkeesian, it is no wonder he can't believe how real women actually are.
Yeah.
I want to know
He's been primed the wrong way.
I want to know what kind of lens he's using, because he says he's using a feministic whatever, and I'm like, in what?
It is the feminist lens.
In what way?
Also, he forgot about
all men are predators,
really?
And they never mean well.
That's not a feminist lens.
And no means no, regardless of anything else. So the first no is always a rejection that you must never go past, which means the dating game is broken. Which is why people are not coming together anymore in the West.
There's also another thing that he has deliberately obfuscated or forgotten about, is that this is not the first time that these two are flirting together. They're explicitly talking about sex, having sex, and they're just doing the push-pull back and forth thing in the scene in the palace, and she's like, "Dang you, Dr. Jones, you missed out. This is the last time," when he doesn't come to her since her door, and it's hilarious. Those two were honest and just said, like, "Yeah, we just want to bang."
All right.
Let's skip ahead to a scene in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Just like in Temple of Doom, Indy and Elsa have not had a romantic relationship up until this point.
Knock it off. You're not mad.
No?
No. You like the way I do things.
It's lucky I don't do things the same way. You'd still be standing at the Venice Pier.
What do you think is going on here? Since I met you, I've nearly been incinerated, drowned, shot at, and chopped into fish bait. We're caught in the middle of something sinister here. My guess is Dad found out more than he was looking for. And until I'm sure, I'm going to continue to do things the way I think they should be done.
How dare you kiss me?
And here's where the narrative begins to reinforce more of those...
No, this is a great scene. This is a really fun scene.
It's also, she's not legitimately into him. Like, since she already had sex with his dad.
She is acting like the whatever female, so she can get on his good graces to be along for the ride to get the grail. She's acting.
I mean, she is at least believably rejecting him.
Yeah. Well, at this a second later, no, but it's such a great scene.
Dangerous ideas about courtship. If that had been the end of it, it could have served as a lesson in what made...
Oh, shut the hell up. We're not going to take lessons on how to treat women watching Indiana Jones. What are you doing?
I hope Jonathan tells us later how courtship should really work. Because if he doesn't, he's only destroying. And his suggestion can only be non-working.
Yeah. You just never approach a woman, never flirt with her, never try to be friendly or
just ask her nice, and if she says no, leave.
Yeah, that's it. That's as boring.
Then the women complain that the men aren't chasing us anymore.
Yeah,
because women love the chasing game.
No phone calls, no love letters.
You may not like the truth, but that's it. That's what it is.
No signs of affection. Nothing. Forget the entire Italian history. They're dead. they never existed.
Yeah. Kinda.
Forget all those wars that were fought over God knows land and families and who loved who and what family did not marry into the other and who should have. Like, none of that.
There's a very good reason that Romeo and Juliet are Italian rather than English.
Oh yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Should not. Alas, Elsa is written to reaffirm the same dangerous myths that we've been talking about in all the scenes so far.
He never met a real woman.
I don't like fast women.
And I hate arrogant men.
The idea that women secretly want men to force them.
Oh, I wonder why they all have... Okay. Jonathan, I wonder why the main sexual fantasy of women is a rape fantasy. And I wonder why Barnes & Nobles now has a special for females shelf of books with sex with mythological monsters, vampires, werewolves, I don't even know what.
Yeah.
A whole shelf. And there was a really funny sign above it. I don't remember what it said. Well, it was really funny that like some self-conscious thing of, we know.
This is just reinforcing the suspension bridge effect. And if you don't know what happened throughout the part of the film, as he said, he was getting shot at. All these exciting things, she was along for the ride. If you have ever gone out on a date with a girl or gone on a trip with a girl, they want an adventure. I don't know what kind of adventure. Maybe they want to go jumping out of a plane, whatever exciting thing. They want to do it. They want to share it. They want to talk about it. They want to have fun. If both these two people lived through crazy events where they got shot at and they survived, and they're relatively
It kind of brings you
safe.
together.
They kind of feel really connected together in some inexplicable way. They can't explain, and there's all this tension. They don't know what to do with it. It's not hard to guess what's going through their minds, and it doesn't matter how it permeates, how it expresses itself. If you don't get it, there has to be a reason why it doesn't happen. Because if this did not happen, either Mr. Jones was really hesitant because he knows something about her, and we don't know what. It gets revealed later he knew she was a Nazi and she was playing him, and he didn't want to get involved. Or she had, I don't know, some Orthodox Christian upbringing and she didn't want to do anything with him because she's strict that way. Fine, but you have to explain that. So this is perfectly normal and fun and cool.
I'm with Tyler Preston here. He says this is some Jack Thompson nonsense. He thinks guys would just copy whatever they see on TV.
Oh, really?
And that is what the socialists really believe. They think everybody's brainwashed by just seeing something because nobody can distinguish between reality and fiction like them.
Yeah, when she
that's the problem of the socialists. That's why they believe all the video games make us racist and make us sexist and make us white supremacists and all of that nonsense.
When she starts
because
biting,
that's what happens to them.
when she starts biting his ear, it's like, okay, she obviously cares about this guy. She knows what she's doing and she knows how to get it.
Ear nibbling is a pretty direct. You know, Jonathan. Have you never? I'm sorry. I pity you.
Yeah.
She's not a little girl. Anyway.
Woman has agency.
Yeah, exactly.
He's also a Nazi who's trying to get in his pants.
Oh, and don't forget, women and men are exactly the same strength.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dear.
That's what Olympia taught me.
All right, 8 minutes in.
These two scenes are humorous, but both still reinforce another pernicious idea.
Which is what?
The idea that women's anger isn't real.
Are you retarded? What are you talking about? Where is this coming from?
Oh, God.
Anger?
It may not always be founded on reality, but it is very real.
What?
Also, these are not good examples to use because if you look at her tone, Kate Capshaw's not playing it like she's actually angry. She's just exasperated and she still likes him, clearly. She's just kind of getting over being in multiple life and death situations. And as for Ilsa, I think she's just faking it because she knows how to get into Indiana Jones' head because she wants to get her hands on the Grail Diary.
Yeah, I think there's an argument to be made that she perhaps could genuinely enjoy Jones as a person, maybe as a lover, but because she's doing all these nefarious things and she's a Nazi and you see her at the end, it's like, oh, maybe she was really pure evil and was acting this all out. So that's the
Why
beauty.
is Jonathan protecting the Nazi?
Because he is one.
Like
Movie Bob.
Oh, God.
Don't you?
Movie
Socialists
Bob,
are all the same.
I will never, ever go back on the idea that Movie Bob is functionally a Nazi. There's no discernible difference between Movie Bob and a Nazi.
Yeah, because it's the same ideology. The differences are minuscule. It's splitting hairs.
There's even a Movie Bob or neo-Nazi quote, and you can't get it right because so many quotes of his sound like neo-Nazis.
Yeah, it's a beautiful questionnaire game.
All right.
It's hilarious.
It takes up more extreme.
That women's anger is instead an invitation to men to continue their advances.
That's why you're alone.
Oh, God, don't show this scene. Oh, this is so...
For most of my life, I said that Blade Runner was my favorite film of all time. I don't say that anymore. Ridley Scott's 1982 masterpiece,
Replicants.
Deckard is drunk, and Rachel is distraught.
The thing with replicants is that they're not androids. They're more like very specific, short-lived clones.
Mm-hmm.
There's no mechanics in them. They're biological.
And he takes advantage of this vulnerable moment to kiss her.
And she's, what, against it?
No response means... Jonathan, replicants don't have real emotions, is the argument. They're faking it. And they're not necessarily aware that they're faking it.
This is part of the theme.
So if you want to make an argument, is that Deckard is not making out with a human that he's exploiting, but an object.
Yeah, this is part of the theme of the film, is that what is life? What does it mean to be alive? Where do you get this sense of being? Where do you get your strength? Where does it come from? Where do you get your existence from? And that is throughout the entire story. This is the main theme of...
You could say, what is the soul?
That's a bit more philosophical.
Esoteric.
Yeah, it doesn't quite fit into Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep too well? Maybe in
a way, it is the question of what makes you human.
Yeah, I would go nature of humanity. What is that? It's so generalized because we're dealing with, well, we created this thing that is like human, but we know it's not. And how does that relate? How do we understand it? How do we integrate that with our life? So yeah, there's lots of things going on in this scene, but you can't say that she's a woman in the normal sense. And I can't really articulate that she's against or for something because she's programmed to behave a certain way. It's like he's interacting with a sex doll that's a little more advanced than what you would think. That's essentially what one of the major roles of the replicants are, aside from manual labor, if you read the book. So this iteration's like, yeah, it's close, but it's not, doesn't go one way or the other as to good or bad. And to say that because he had one whiskey, he's taking advantage of this creature, I'm like, okay. Is that good or bad? I don't know. He's not hunting her. That's not his job in this context. She's a witness. And she's distraught because of her own mortality and blah, blah, blah.
You can make an argument for the door.
Yeah, but this is...
Yeah, but I would kind of agree that's a little... That's very, very aggressive.
Yeah, but she is now at least showing emotion. And that's the whole problem. The replicant isn't showing emotion.
Well, the argument is that she is, because she's more in line of this kind of behavior, doing the role she's designed to do. So is it good? Is it bad?
Do replicants have rights? We first need to answer that question.
Yeah, this is part
because that's the question of the movie as well.
Right. So there's a lot of things going on, and I would rather they have this scene to allow the audience to question, is this good or bad? That's kind of the point. If you didn't have this scene, it would just be she's just doing her function and that's that, as opposed to is Deckard drunk? Is he gonna kill her? Probably not. Why is he acting this way? What happened with him? What was up with his wife? Why was he behaving that way? And we get that in the form of visuals because that's the point of the film. You don't get those crazy sunbeams that come out of the windows all the time. That's never in the book. There's all kinds of stuff and details in the book that flesh out these characters more, but it's mostly a visual storytelling medium. And just because a scene is uncomfortable is not like, oh, it's promoting rape. It's like, no. This is a semi-drunk man who's confused about a certain case, and there's this woman who's also not a woman. And what does that mean? And that's the point. If he was violent, same idea. Bad scene because it's violence, but that's the theme of the story. Does he accept replicants as people? No, he doesn't. And Jonathan would be like, oh, this is horrible. This is disgusting. It's like, well, that's the point. He would hate it. So we need scenes like this. We need stories like this. And I wish there was more violence. I wish there was more going on, more conflict, more nuance. And in this case, it's just nuance. And we're like, oh, it's like, this is the problem with Blade Runner in general, the film. The dream sequences, that stupid scene with where he's zooming in and constantly zooming out. You're like, what is going on? It's a really slow, boring detective story that doesn't really work in the detective fiction era too well. But it's visually impressive. So.
Will you kiss me?
The scene includes many of the same dangerous messages we saw in previous examples. Again, we see the myth that women secretly want it, and again, the myth that women will respond positively. To understand what I mean, let's rewind and watch part of that scene again.
Yeah.
While pinning Rachel against the window, Deckard orders her to kiss him.
Will you kiss me?
When she tries to protest, he doesn't listen.
I can't rely on... Say, kiss me.
And commands her to ask for it.
No, not really. You could rather, since you have to take the context of the movie into account, you could say he is reprogramming her. Because by saying the things, her own thoughts change.
It's a robot. It's not real. Like, this is, again, part of the context.
She's not a person.
She's not a person. She's being told what to do because she's designed to do that.
Yeah, I don't remember enough of the scene, but since Blade Runner is a rather complex movie about why people do what they do,
yeah,
I wouldn't be blindly on board with his cut out here.
And I would rather people read the book first and then go, oh, that's what this scene was supposed to be, as opposed to just the visual and just the dialogue, because there's a lot of nuance that not even the movie picks up on, and that's fine. But to interpret it that way and just that way only is like, okay, yeah. Or you could talk about all the sex bot industry that's going on in the stories.
Mm-hmm. Which is what it's mainly used on Earth.
If only Ridley Scott were still making movies like this rather than trash like his recent batch of Alien movies and Napoleon.
Oh, really? He's still doing Alien? Oh, God.
Yeah, he made Alien Romulus, and he also did Prometheus and Covenant.
Oh, I thought that was a Star Trek thing. All right, never mind.
No, the Alien and Alien Covenant and Prometheus were both Ridley Scott ventures.
Wow, Jesus. Didn't hear anything about it. Okay.
Almost finished.
Yeah, I know.
He'll tell us how to
do
courtship right.
Domestic violence.
Domestic violence from a being that lives for 3 to 4 years, designed for sex. All right, whatever. Not directly, but he does through his actions. Oh my God! Did you even watch the film?
It's his favorite movie.
Apparently, it was, and then he stopped it.
Stopped liking it for weird reasons.
Because there's a sexual scene where a robot may or may not be doing the right function she was designed to perform. Like, all right.
And he never understood that scene had some strange connotations until feminism taught him. So all men must not know until feminism teaches them.
Yeah, it's like you have a sex doll, and the sex doll is, I don't know, being punched or something. Oh, that's a horrible way to treat a sex doll. It's like, it's a sex doll. It's not real. It's just a thing.
The question here is it though?
Right. That's the beauty of it. That's the great part of the scene, or the scenes with her and the other fellows. It's all like violence and sex, and then they finally pause and wait and talk, and oh my God, they're actually communicating.
Struggle. Ford reasserts his own. In many ways, Harrison Ford represents the paragon of all-American Hollywood manhood. Throughout the 80s and 90s,
not in Blade Runner.
He was an almost unparalleled cinematic role model.
Really.
It's not a paragon.
His movies offered us lessons in how to be a man, how to be a good guy, how to be a hero. But they also taught us that aggressive sexual behavior is something that women admire and that young men and boys
They
should
do.
They do. Like,
Man, I wanted. Have you seen the usually over 40 obese Amnesty International protester women with their big placards of "My pussy is open for immigrants"?
Oh God.
That was an Amnesty International sign.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That was professionally printed. That was not some self-written thing. That went through a design process and to a printing shop.
It was freaking hilarious.
Women are attracted to big burly men. It's kind of a thing.
Yeah, why do you think Vikings exist?
The tactics of invading a woman's personal space, aggressively propositioning her multiple times, and putting her in the very uncomfortable position of having to reject you. These are strategies that are right out of a pickup artist play.
How do you know that, sir?
He studied them.
Also, I would not use pickup artist. I would use... these are very, very different scenes. Blade Runner, most of these are relatively playful. Blade Runner's the main outlier of these four examples.
Yeah, and I still want to point out his other films, which are completely average dramas, aside from Witness, which is, you know, a bit of a horror. They're all playful and fun. And these, I don't know, I wouldn't say Blade Runner is that big a deal. People just like it because you're a audiophile, whatever you call it. Cinephiles. People talk about it all the time. It's like, it's not that big a deal. Visually, it's amazing.
There's also,
yeah.
There's also the one other movie of his that I really liked was the movie where he's running away from the law. I can't remember what it is, like Wanted or something like that.
Oh, Fugitive.
Yeah, since that one's got a good. I actually watched that for film school. And I really liked that film.
Yeah, he's a doctor who's accused of killing his wife, and he's pretty much wants to figure it out on his own, but they don't want him to do that, so Tommy Lee Jones has to go chase him.
Yeah. And Tommy Lee Jones is really funny in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's the predatory worldview that's at the heart of what's often referred to as rape culture.
Here we go.
Films that confuse coercion or abuse or seduction are.
Oh, you mean that's what Anita is doing with you?
Harrison Ford's filmography.
This
the conventions of predatory manhood
is not a good
part of
example.
A long-running Hollywood tradition in popular movies, television shows, and music.
Come on. That was comedic. That's a comedy scene. And she is also so into him from the start. Yeah, Look at that.
In the 3 decades since the release of Blade Runner, very little has changed in terms of Hollywood manhood.
The heck? What was that?
Yeah, it has.
Spectre, the most recent James Bond film, which was released in 2015.
That's because James Bond is kind of an aggressive pig.
Didn't you? My husband.
He was an assassin.
And he did get rejected.
Trust me, he won't take it personally.
You signed my death warrant.
The movement and blocking in this scene tells the whole story. And it's a familiar one. Notice
He's
that
not a
Bond
nice
is
man.
always advancing on her, and she is always backing away.
And she's not a nice
I tell
woman.
you that I don't trust you.
Well, then you have impeccable instincts.
James Bond is in the role of the predator, slowly stalking and then...
He's a killer. He has a license to kill. He killed her husband. Or at least is he hunting his husband? I can't remember the exact scenario. I thought he killed her. He killed him.
He killed her husband because he was an assassin.
And she's wearing black because they went to his funeral or something like that. I can't remember the conditions.
Yep.
Yeah.
So since we're running out of time, I assume he's not going to tell us how the courtship should really work.
And this is a fast woman. This is not some wholesome relationship. This is Bond. This is a Bond girl.
James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
What is?
Yeah.
What is with lack of context here, sir? Do you understand the formula for Bond films?
No. The details do not count when the socialist wants to make a point, or only the details count that the substance doesn't count when the socialist makes a point.
And let's say this is the truth. Let's say he is stalking this woman to get some information, and he does, and then they have sex. Job. And you're like, so what? He got what he came for. It furthers the plot. She's into that because she married an assassin, and she knows her life is forfeit because whatever.
Look, it's only okay when China does it and sends women to hook up with influential Western men.
Yeah.
Then it's okay.
James Bond is misogynistic, maybe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's accurate. Yeah.
And that's a good thing because it
is
be pretty boring.
He is at least very chauvinist. He is very much a chauvinist.
Yeah, he's into fast women, fast cars, big guns. You know, the general action hero character. That's a genre. It's its own. It's a series. I would say it's not a genre. It's its own. I say there's genre, then there's series, and then there's not labels. What's the word I'm looking for? Franchises. It's its own franchise.
Trapping his prey. The implicit threat of Bond's violence permeates everything in this interaction, as it does with Deckard in Blade Runner.
Bond. James Bond.
Again, we see the aggressive nature of this scene framed by the film as a form of seduction.
Aggressive would look a bit different.
The film is telling us that men don't need to listen.
Jonathan, if this was as aggressive as you try to make it out, he would just grab her and throw her on the bed.
Yeah,
that's not what he's doing. He is assertive, but he's not aggressive.
She thinks her life is over. It could be true. I think she dies in the next scene. I can't remember. But she's going, yeah, my life is done because you killed whatever and they know what's going on and I'm the extra collateral, whatever.
I agree with Fred Not in the chat. I miss when Bond used to be cheeky and fun instead of a psychopath, because that's kind of how Daniel Craig plays him.
It is interesting when you hear about not the original Bond, but Sean Connery was the second Bond, I think, and he was just a labor man. He was a guy on the boats hauling cargo, so he was this tough dude. And
no, Connery was the first. He was the first choice.
I thought there was someone before him. His Majesty's Secret Service. I thought that was the first Bond film. Anyway, he was just a big tough guy. And you see him on film, he's not as muscular as, of course, Craig is, but that's just because of the health we have these days of Hollywood actors. So the
different frame too. Connery was I think he was a dancer.
Really? Well, he was definitely a strong guy on the docks working, and that was one of his attitudes. He was a singer. There's a funny story with Jay Leno, and they have the little rooms for people, the people to come onto the set to interview, and they have a shower in there. And he was saying Connery was the only guy who ever used the shower in those rooms, and he was singing, and he was singing this Scottish ballad about the waves and the water and all this. He was like, "What the hell?"
She is my dear, my darling one, my smiling and beguiling one.
It was hilarious. Like, where's the sound coming from? Remember this old Scottish man just singing in the shower.
But did he sing it normally or with his Sean Connery pseudo-Scottish sound?
He was singing the way Sean Connery would sound. I don't know. Oh God!
And also to confirm, on Her Majesty's Secret Service, that was George Lansby that played Bond.
The black
was after Connery.
It was after.
How do you pronounce that name? I never figured that out. Lazenby. I was read Lazenby.
Lazenby. Oh, whatever.
Lazenby. All right.
But it was definitely
Lazenby.
It was definitely after Connery. Connery was first.
And then Connery came back. All right. Cool.
Listen to women that they should take what they want, aggressively if necessary. That once backed into a corner, once coerced, women will finally admit that they secretly wanted it all along.
Bond is like this fantasy character that doesn't exist in reality, and if it does, we have no knowledge of it. That's the great thing.
If he does, the only implication we have is that he might be based on names. Saruman.
Christopher Lee.
Yeah, he might be based on Christopher Lee. Because Christopher Lee actually did murderous stuff. He did the works. And he was friends with Ian Fleming.
Yeah.
Part of why he also knew how to get the act of stabbing someone in the back, right?
Yes.
How the other guy reacts.
Yeah, he was like, Peter, do you know how it sounds when a man gets stabbed in the back? Because I do.
What? Excuse me.
What? How do you know that? Because I did it.
Oh,
I think it was actually funnier. It's actually kind of.
He just said it straightforward like that. He said, yeah, it's like without any hesitation. He explained it to Peter Jackson.
All right, here's the thread.
He just said, he was like, do you know how a man sounds when he gets stabbed in the back? Because I do. It's more of a, because the breath leaves the body. He then proceeded to describe a very clandestine part of World War II.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's super funny because it's just when he cut Christopher Lee out of the finale, the beginning of Return of the King, he was probably thinking like, "Oh my gosh, Christopher Lee's gonna kill me." He's gonna literally kill me.
All right, here's Mr. Threadnought again. Hello, sir, on the other side of the screen. You guys have done good to make it through this much. Full Mcintosh, FemFreaks writer. Congratulations on your mental fortitude, gang. You know what? He's not hurting our brains. He's just saying stupid shit. Which
there's definitely been worse.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
But we see here the foundation of all the really crazy stuff we got over the years.
Yeah.
And if you do not understand the appeal of Bond and why people like it, and you want to call him misogynistic, that's fine, but that means we are free to lambast you for being an ignoramus with this bizarre take on Bond, which is like he's Bond. He's supposed to be this way.
I would say people like Mcintosh, his work, is a good example of the saying "beware of the beginnings," which is hammered into us since childhood to never let the Nazis come back to power, when really that's all socialism. Because look at this. This was we laughed about the stupidity of Mcintosh and Sarkeesian, and now look where we are. The dating game is destroyed because this crap was pushed by all the fake journalists, by all these crappy movies that got infected with this ideology, by all these false accusations of crap women, and now it's damaged with I don't want to say beyond repair, because I think it can be repaired, but man, there's a generation of men and women not dating, not getting together, and that plays right into what the globalists at the WEF always talk about, namely less children.
All right, we are 15 minutes deep. We got a few left.
If they said no.
What?
When women say
no,
no,
you don't need to teach
Han
that at
Solo,
all.
Indiana Jones, and Rick Deckard don't hear them. They like
So video games cause violence. What else? What else is next?
Give me how the courtship should work, Jonathan. Give me the alternative that you want.
Oh, I got another one. Smart anime.
Educate me.
Sorry, what was that?
Anime is satanic.
Oh, is it watched backwards too? I can't remember which one was that.
No, anime is it's obviously sexist because it shows females with curves.
Oh yeah, what is Dragon Ball is homosexual because it's a bunch of men just grunting and standing weirdly and punching each other or something, wrestling. I don't know.
That just means it's wrestling.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Also, Piccolo is apparently black because green is black.
Here, not yet, or keep trying.
What?
Despite the lessons of Hollywood-style masculinity, when women indicate that they're not interested in something, that is never an indication to keep trying. The absence of a hard no or even a very reluctant yes is not enough. Because if that's all that's required, it opens up the door for forms of coercion and manipulation. And it should go without saying that coercion and manipulation have absolutely no place in romantic or sexual relationships.
Wow, you gotta.
Yeah, and that's why women never, ever do that. Like Amber Heard did with Johnny Depp. She would never do that.
Can you imagine?
Or Elon Musk or whomever else she bewitched.
Can you imagine like having or Jonathan trying to have a relationship with a girl, like a normal girl, and like, wait a second, she's not telling me the full truth. Why is that? Is she trying to manipulate me? It's like she's a girl.
No. Jonathan would never think that when it's a woman.
Oh, they're perfect. That's right.
Yeah. Jonathan he's damaged beyond repair. You can't fix him. The only thing that could fix him would be to be exploited so hard that he'd be close to death. And then he'd have to either realize, okay, my worldview was bullshit, and I have to rebuild that, or he'll die.
Yeah, it's as if women don't bide their time waiting for a certain opportune question of something they want, and they have to have a rapport, and they want to feel comfortable and safe and financially stable and all these other conditions until they get what they think they need to feel comfortable to ask questions of what they actually want. That doesn't take years and years sometimes. No. They don't have the guts to say what they feel. No, this is silly. That men are sexual creatures. Like, yes. And they proposition women. It's like, yeah, the women aren't going to do it. I've never seen that again, unless you come to Canada and spend a weekend in Montreal, and you'll see a little difference of culture there. But someone has to initiate this process. May as well be the dudes with all the testosterone and have the social skills.
No. Oh, okay, Smart, you don't... Okay, here's the answer. So, women don't approach men, and men are not allowed to approach women anymore. So, the committee has to decide who is going to mate with whom, and then we can actually have the proper Bene Gesserit eugenics project going on.
Senators of Krypton figuring out their quota for who's going to get married this year. Oh, boy.
For instead is an enthusiastic
yes. Give me a...
Okay, here we are.
The affirmative or enthusiastic model of consent encourages open, proactive communication, mutual excitement, and respect.
Yeah, and when we reject that the woman like that, then she accuses us of rape.
This is the one where the guy is pretty much just following her around because he likes her, and the whole story is about her and her sister.
Yeah, and he gets dumped. Yeah. But hey, at least Jonathan provided something. It's bullshit, but at least it had to be. But at least he did.
It's like the given Disney film has to have a little bit of romance. This is it, and you're like, okay, whatever, it's fine. But again, we don't care. It's not like, oh my God, they're depicting men as secondary. I'm like, I don't care. The story's not about the guy. It's fine.
Do you like it?
Like it? I love it!
Oh my God, he's being so... okay.
I could kiss you! I could. I mean, I'd like to. May I? Me?
Pathetic.
I mean, may we?
This is sad. That's pathetic.
This is pathetic. This behavior is repulsive to women.
If you have the excitement...
It's cute. It works sometimes.
If you could pick up a girl and throw her around...
On the average, this evokes revulsion in women because it shows insecurity. Because an insecure man cannot be relied upon in moments of danger, of necessity. That is why we humans are wired in this fashion.
Yeah, if you're 5'9" and 10 and she's like 5'2", 5'3", and you're picking her up and throwing her around like a doll and she's having a good time, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, what is happening? This is not normal behavior between people. This is not how it works.
Yeah, this is malconditioned.
You wouldn't do that with a child. You wouldn't do that with a girl you're interested in. You'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, no. What are you doing? You don't go from I'm so aroused to whoops. I shouldn't have.
The positive was already there. Backpedaling at that point is idiotic.
It's like
that means you've been traumatized.
Yeah, it's like doing a I don't know, 20 sets of curls, and you're like, oh my god, I should do some squats. What, I'm neglecting my legs. Like, what do you? No, you're exhausted from doing 20 sets of curls. Take it easy. Do some squats later. I'm sure you'll be fine. Your body responds positively to certain stimuli, and you don't suddenly stop on a dime and reverse yourself. It's not natural. Even glycogen will have time to be converted into lactic acid and all this jazz. This does not happen. Like, this sort of behavior is cute and silly, but it's good for a kids show because it's for kids, and that's fine.
If these two were 12, 13, 14, okay. But that's not the case.
Yeah, again, it's for kids. I put a lot of things off to the side because it's a kids show. Like the Batman animated series, it's designed for kids, but it tells mature stories, so you have to play things safe in a very clean way. And that's why analyzing is kind of silly, because it's like, yeah, it's for kids. This is fine. And you don't have to worry about these nuances until we get to the adult drama. And you're like, oh, they're talking about death. They're talking about family. They're talking about, do I have a life as an actor? Do I have a life as a girl anymore? And Batman doesn't kill, and all these other wonderful little conflicts about being the Caped Crusader. Like, those are just obvious surface level stuff that is deep enough that that's all you need to tell the story properly within 22 minutes. So for kids, it's fine. And that's what this is for. Okay, we're almost done.
We may.
If you'd like to see more videos related to
No.
media and manhood, you can help.
Manhood? Yeah, I want to learn about manhood from you. What a great idea.
What a weasel.
Yeah.
I think he says masculinity about 24 times in every one of his videos. He has to talk about masculinity. I don't know why,
People
though.
paid money for this.
It's like he doesn't have enough masculinity. I got to talk about masculinity again. Okay. All right.
I don't think these are real names.
Do we have memes? We have one meme. We have one
That's
meme
hilarious.
from Kaiser. And it's perfect. That's all we need. That should be.
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
You know how I have that? What was the previous video we did? And with Jesse. The correct response. I can't remember what the video clip was, but this is essentially the correct video response to everything that Mcintosh would say.
It is true. This man has no dick. Yeah. That's accurate. He's clearly a eunuch.
Yeah. Anyway, that was Blast from the Past.
Sad.
Didn't know we were going to cover him ever, because why would we? And yeah, it's kind
Hopefully.
of. I would have thought most of the feminists or people like him have been screwed under a rock and forgotten about, but apparently he's still making stuff, and it's kind of funny.
I'm surprised that watching this now, compared to what we had the past few years, shows how tame this insanity started.
7 years ago, yeah. Weird stuff. Anyway, yeah, I think this is so milquetoast to us that we're not. It's like, oh, it's Mcintosh. Look what he doesn't like Bond. Who knew? It doesn't really bother me. It's just pretty weak.
Especially compared to somebody like Maggie Mae Fish.
That is a combination of so many ideas and expressions that, yeah, she's on another level. It's entertaining just to see what what makeup shade she uses the next scene, or whether she's going to act like the old lady again, or the cat lady, or something else. Or hey, let's talk about porn. You're like, what? Why?
The weird Canadian.
Yeah, that was East Coast. Yeah, I don't know what that could have been. Canadian, could have been American. I don't know. East Coast something. I don't know. Weird accent there. Anyway, thanks guys. That was actually not bad. I didn't mind it too much. And plus, I'm going away tomorrow, so I thought I would get that in there. I won't be back till Tuesday. So
It was bad. We're just desensitized.
I think so. I think we're just used to it so much. We're like, Jonathan. Poof, okay, no problem.
What does he do these days?
He does do YouTube, but no one cares.
Huh.
So, thank you guys
Used and discarded.
Thank you guys for watching. That was a good trip down memory lane and all the weird, silly things that people used to do 7 years ago, talking about masculinity, not being masculine enough, or whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Have a good night and watch Gundam War in the Pocket.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Take it easy. Good night.